welcome to this week's episode of Law Weekly on Channels Television. I am Shola Sheyele. This week's episode of the program comes to you from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, where the Delegates Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association was held on the 16th and 17th of July, as you can see from the banner behind me and the crowd. But I'll tell you more about that process shortly. On Monday, the 16th of July, lawyers converged on the A-Class Park in Maitama area of Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. They started with the National Executive Committee NEC meeting and manifesto night. Before then, there was accreditation of the delegates for this all-important election. In attendance at this meeting are those who have scaled the accreditation process. They include senior advocates of Nigeria, members of the body of benchers, co-opted National Executive Committee NEC members, past presidents and general secretaries of the NBA, and other delegates selected from 88 branches of the NBA across the 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT.
It's those who will vote that need.
The president of the NBA began by pleading with members to be cautious about the issue of security. The leadership of the bar had initially planned this delegates election conference for Kaduna State in northern Nigeria, but the rising insecurity in that part of the country had led to calls for a change in venue. The issue was vigorously discussed in the media, especially as some delegates threatened to boycott the conference. After some consultations, the NBA president last month eventually announced a change of venue to Abuja.
When we are discussing issues relating to security, bar leaders, such as your good selves, should refrain from making newspaper discourse of matters that have potentially harmful consequences in relation to security. The venue of our meetings have been made newspaper discourses. The debate leading to whether we should go to Kaduna or whether we should move to another venue were made the subject matter of newspaper and media debate. Even discussions about our conference, we cannot be too careful. This is a large gathering of lawyers, and the life of every lawyer is very important to us. And therefore, we must act with some circumspection.
The NBA president also talked about the annual general conference scheduled for the 26th of August, also in Abuja. He encouraged all lawyers to register for the event.
We have looked at bar associations both abroad and within West Africa. And even Ghana, our neighbor, what they pay, I think, is about 75,000 if you convert it flat rate. We pay for IBA about £2,000. And I can tell you, there are more people in this hall that have registered for IBA than have registered for the NBA conference. And £2,000 is like 520-something thousand naira for registration. And if we cannot raise money within us, we cannot also go cap in hand. We have to leave cap in hand to people who we criticize. So we just have to leave and organize our conferences within our means.
As early as 8 a.m. the next morning, Tuesday the 17th of July, the lawyers were back again at the A-Class Park, venue of the elections, for the voting proper.
You can't see it to me.
After mingling and exchanging banters, the chairman of the Electoral Committee, former NBA President Prince Lanke Udogion, immediately took charge. Amid plenty of noise and seeming confusion, he read out the names of accredited agents for each of the candidates, and they were allowed to proceed into the hall, which had a high presence of security officials. The security was so stiff at the door of the hall that even journalists were prevented from going in. After the agents, the senior advocates, members of the body of benches, and the co-opted NEC members were let in, ahead of other delegates who filed into a single queue. The arrival of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Aminu Tambuwal, who is also a delegate for the polls, enabled most of the journalists who had initially been kept outside to gain entrance into the hall. Honorable Tambuwal was one of the earliest to cast his vote.
Take me out. One of the best organized elections of the NBA.
The voting is going on in a very orderly manner, and the process is very transparent. So I believe that whatever is going to come out of it should be a very transparent process at the end of it all. And I will employ on those who might lose in the process to take it in good faith. And there's always another chance.
I think it's been a very excellent preparation. And as the election is going on, one can see transparency, and I commend the committee, and I'm very happy that everybody is at peace. The only problem now is the slow pace.
It was indeed slow. The queue was long. We did a random sampling of how the delegates assessed the process. It was a mixed bag of reaction. While some of the delegates complained about the queue and the sun, others commended the organization. But most of the delegates chose to see it as a sacrifice they must endure.
What I have been seeing, or what I have seen this morning, I can call it a pure practical democracy in practical terms. Because actually the arrangement, the process of the voting, the orderliness of the candidate, as well as the voters, is more orderly than any election that you can think of. And I can tell you, I am proud of the Nigerian Bar Association, and I'm proud of the electoral officers for what they have conducted here. And I think if we follow this process in all our elections in Nigeria, I can assure you we will have a free and fair election. So far, so good.
The organization is fantastic. The arrangement is okay. It's excellent compared to what we witnessed the other time. Last 2 years ago, it wasn't as quick as this. You know, we say we keep learning every day, we keep improving. I think this ESCO, this regime has done a very great job.
In the area of accreditation, between last year and between the last time we had the general elections and this time around, it's okay. It's better arranged now. But in the area of the voting pattern, between what we had in Ibadan and what we're having now, no, this time around it's not been fair. I think they've not done a proper arrangement. They would have done better than this by not training lawyers to be on the queue that stands from the hall down to the main road. They would have grouped us in about 3 different groups in 3 different halls, even if it's in the same hall, but 3 different groups with their committee members overseeing what the voting pattern. But with what I'm seeing, it will take us in the next 3 hours or 4 hours if time is not taken to finish the voting. I think next time they should do something better than what they have just done.
The line is moving, as you can see. No, not at the moment, except it gets longer. Then I'll complain.
I'm not too happy with the process now, as a matter of fact, because you can see it's very hot. Yesterday when we came, following the tradition from Ibadan, things were easy. We came yesterday, our accreditation was easy and simple because it was done alphabetically. But here we are. Why shouldn't we follow the same process? Why are we here? Because it's simple. The SANs have gone and voted and they are gone. It was easy and simple. But here we are. We've been here. Some of us came in here, since 9 o'clock or thereabouts. So, it doesn't make any sense to some of us. It's not proper at all.
Although the queue is a bit challenging, but then we need to do it. It's part of the sacrifice.
Now, according to the electoral chairman, there are about 1,005 branches represented here. 14 offices are up for grabs, but there were no nominations for 2 of the offices, and those positions would have to be filled by the executives which emerge after this process. 4 positions are unopposed, and there was no contest for those positions, but 8 of 14 positions are being contested at this delegate conference by 25 contestants. There are 3 candidates for the most coveted position of president of the NBA. They are Mr. Okey Wali, former Attorney General of Rivers State, and a senior advocate of Nigeria who practices in the Port Harcourt branch of the NBA and once served as chairman of that branch. His major opponent is Mr. Emeka Ngige, also a senior advocate, who has served as a member of the Disciplinary Committee, the Legal Practitioners Independent Committee, and Assistant Secretary of the Body of Senior Advocates of Nigeria. The third contestant, Mr. Blessing Ukiri, incidentally served as Secretary of the Port Harcourt branch when Mr. Wali was chairman. He has been first, second and third vice president of the NBA at different times.
The process is orderly. Everybody is behaving himself. The queue is quite long, but people are enthusiastic in ensuring that they cast their votes. Your vote is power, and every civilized citizen should be able to participate in who becomes his leader. And I'm sure that is the example the lawyers are showing. They have been here since yesterday. They have been on the line since morning. And I believe in no time the elections will be over.
And you're optimistic that the winner who emerges from here will be reflective of the choice of the people?
Well, surely it has to be. We haven't degenerated to that level where our elections could be rigged. And I don't think the lawyers will go to that base extent of rigging an election. It's not worth it. You are coming to serve, and if the purpose is to serve, then there is no basis to rig or to come to be a leader through any means other than the choice of the people.
How would you feel if you lost today?
Oh, I will glorify God, but I'm not looking forward to losing, because I have done my work, I have prayed fervently, and I believe that in terms of choice, if sentiments are not put in place, the other 2 aspirants don't match me. They are senior advocates and I do respect them, but in terms of leadership and experience, they are not close to me at all.
Don't be left in the dark. Be the first to know. Get the latest news and developing stories anytime, anywhere, on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com and click on the Channels TV logo. Channels Television, the news at your fingertips.
When voting ended, some of the delegates moved to another part of town to witness the commissioning of the new NBA Secretariat, which was named after the former NBA president and governorship candidate of the ACN in Ondo State, Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu. Back at the voting center, the process of sorting, collation and counting of votes is underway, but unfortunately we're not allowed into the hall. Outside, we ask a few lawyers to assess the outgoing administration and set an agenda for the incoming one.
If I'm to assess the outgoing because they finished, I'll score them 40%. I'll score them 40%. There was no performance from my personal experience. There was nothing. The bar itself did not grow. The bar did not grow. We did not even meet the challenges, national challenges that we are poised before this. It's okay to say we condemn Boko Haram. Everybody says that. Have you met with people who should know what to do? The security agencies, the presidency, interact with the legislature, the people themselves, you know? These are things we expect of the bar. And then, of course, you should take care of your own. The bar itself. There has been a lot in the past 2 years that affect lawyers that we should have tackled. It's not all right to just say, oh, the judiciary. What specific faults, which a lot of us know, should be challenged or addressed? These are things we expect of the administration. Well, I didn't say it. So now these people are going to, I will say, address those issues at the National Executive Council, and then with their mandate go out and interact with, because most of our NEC meetings have not been the usual robust meetings that we come out and the debates are robust. They've
done fairly well. We've not had any major crisis. If you're able to keep the area calm for 2 years, some credits should be given to you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I should give them 8. They've done well.
I'm more agitated about our contribution to judiciary in terms of the role we play in appointment of judges, in terms of those who are going there. I think we have tried to make a case. I think we want to call on our next executive at least to make that part of their achievement, that we are able to force through the process which we have always clamored for, a process that is of appointment of judges that is not based on appointment from magistracy or appointment from High Court to Court of Appeal or appointment from Court of Appeal to Supreme Court. We must correct that system, because that's the problem we have. The major problem we have now is that the people who find their way at the end of the day into our judiciary, we're having some problem, and it is left for the bar to make that correction. It's only the bar that can do it. We must put our feet down. That it should not be by way of promotion. It must be that you are having an elevation, and when you are to be elevated, your quality must be paramount. People must know your quality, people must know who you are and what you stand for before you are elevated. So it should not be promotion.
The incoming executive committee will have a lot to do. A lot in the areas of the supremacy of the rule of law. That is number one, because that is the basis for democracy. Number two is this ongoing process on constitutional amendment. I think MBA must champion the cause of a replacement, not an amendment. We elected the legislators to make laws, not to make a constitution for us.
The most important thing that it's affecting our profession now is discipline in the profession and corruption. And if those two issues can be adequately addressed, then they will have moved the bar forward from where it is presently.
One of the major issues is young lawyers. We have to think about their welfare. That is something that we lack. And these are upcoming people. You need to think about them, the conditions of service, welfare, and all that is what I think they should focus on during their tenure.
There has been this agitation about increase in bar practicing fee and conference fees. They should look into it and review in such a way that young lawyers can fit into the system. As it is now, they find it so difficult to pay. So we make rules that will be obeyed without much problem.
Eventually, journalists are allowed back in for announcement of results. And at about 8 p.m., the chairman of the Electoral Committee, Prince Lanke Odoginyo, did the honors.
Of the General Secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, O.O. Olowokure Esquire scored 292 votes. E.A. Haruna Esquire scored 302 votes. Emeka Obegolu Esquire scored 527 votes. For the office of the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Emonema Blessing Ukiri, 2 votes. Emeka Ngige, Esquire, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, 449 votes. Okey Wali, Esquire, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, 688 votes. Gentlemen of the bar, 9. Gentlemen of the bar, gentlemen of the bar, gentlemen of the bar.
Since 1998, we have seamlessly transited from one administration of the NBA to the other. I can assure you that there will be no election petitions filed by any of the candidates because they are satisfied that the process was transparent, free, and fair. And I know that the rest of the country has watched us and see the seamlessness in our transition from one executive to another. I am sure the lights we are on, you would have seen when my co-contestant for the office of the president of the NBA came here to give me a hug and congratulate me. That is a message that we expect the rest of the country to learn from the NBA. We thank you for the confidence. The responsibility is enormous. We recognize the challenges ahead, particularly when you are taking over from an administration that has done so well. Of course, the shoes of David Audu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, you know how the size of those shoes. But God willing, we shall strive to fit those shoes. And like they say, the glory of the latter shall be more than that of the former. So we expect to supersede his achievements.
The issue is not confirming validation.
Less than 48 hours after the elections, the main opposition candidates in the polls, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Emeka Ngige, faulted the outcome of the elections.
I have been asking them for a copy of this delegate list as well as NEC list a month before the election, so that we will know who are NEC members, who are the delegates. That was why there was a deadline for the branches to submit the names of their delegates. But in their response, they said there is no constitutional provision empowering the secretariats to give candidates the list of delegates. I got this copy off the wall of the election center because I knew that they were up to a mischief. So the people that made members of NEC overnight. I have a document here showing that at least 2 of the names that they made NEC members, as at February 2011, when we had our NEC meeting in Akure, the minutes of the meeting described them as observers, not NEC members. The first name there is Mr. Okey Wali. His name appeared in the minutes of Akure as an observer, not a NEC member. Then Mr. Ezenwafo, who is a junior counsel in the chambers of Mr. Kimboro, the General Secretary of NBA. This lawyer's name appeared as observer in the NEC meeting at Akure. But in the election of July, he now appears as a co-opted NEC member. When was he co-opted? With which approval was the corruption made? You cannot do corruption without approval of NBA NEC. And that is the issue here. On the issue of ghost names or dead lawyers, they have not also offered an answer. NBA participated at the burial of these lawyers. The president of NBA was present at the funeral valedictory session in Port Harcourt for Mr. Webidike Wanodi, for Mr. Baranta. And yet, his picture and photograph appeared as a delegate. How do I know that somebody had not come to pose as those lawyers and voted? I wouldn't know. Then, there is also a lawyer that died since 1994, Mr. Sam Asaba, a former General Secretary of NBA. His name appeared also as a delegate.
The NBA has, however, come out to defend this allegation and all orders made by Mr. Ngige.
By the Chief Registrar of Supreme Court. This is a compilation of all the SCNs in Nigeria, including the deceased ones. You will see here, and you see that even all these pictures we use were pictures we got from Supreme Court. A lot of them are surprised when they got there and they saw their pictures there. They didn't know where we saw those pictures from. The pictures we got there from Supreme Court. At the back of it, they reflected the deceased. They reflected the deceased SCNs. So, these deceased SCNs, if in the process of operation there is no evidence, we don't have a proof of somebody's death, how do we know the person has deceased? And I don't know anybody that said that the ghost came to vote in that place, or they saw the ghost of somebody coming to vote.
Is all we can take on this edition of the program. Please feel free to send in your questions and comments as always via Facebook, email or Twitter. I am Shola Sheyele. Thank you for watching.